understanding that the ball wasn't protected, slaps it away from Vernay right there. Perfect play, but they managed to recover there.
The University of Hawaii commit Jonah Moy with the sack fumble. It was recovered by the Hornets' own number 73. That is Alan Prieto, the freshman. And now the Hornets, in what was otherwise a productive drive, now face a 3rd down and 22. Handoff goes to Wilson, and like all night long, Dan, that run's going nowhere. No gain, tackle made, I believe, by Jonah Moy. No, it was actually their defensive lineman, Miki Fangatua. Remember his name last week, don't we not?
Yeah, big game last week in which he recovered a fumble for a score. The guy was just so impressive last night. Well, last week.
He was. Actually, to read his statistics, he recorded 4 tackles, 2 quarterback sacks, and a fumble recovery that he returned 86 yards for a game-sealing touchdown against El Camino. Now this one's about as ugly for their conference opponent as the Week 1 game here for the Tigers. 36-6 in favor of the hometown team as Stallone gets swallowed up at around the 12-yard line. That'll be a punt return for a loss of 5. But unlike the Fullerton return, man, he's able to stay in his own end zone.
Yeah, right now would be some good time in for some good practice for this offense. Open up the playbook, run things that you haven't run during the season.
Off the field. He's still on the sideline, though. But, yes, I do agree with you. It's time to open up the playbook.
Yeah, just let's give Nicholas King different looks, different situations. Right now, the ball on the 13 of Riverside. Let's see what they design here for Nicholas King.
13:06 to go, and I know we're going to have a long discussion with our very own St. John Bosco alum Chris Sylvester on the postgame. Denzel Foster on the Wildcat give, and he's able to scurry his way out to the 27-yard line and shifting and diming his way for 14 yards at a first. But we were going to talk about Chris Sylvester here. I mean, he's the Mount Sac play-by-play man, and you can catch him on Spreaker.com as well, but his argument is, well, Mount Sac has the most impressive victory of the year, defeating Fullerton by 24. Currently, it's the Tigers who lead by 30.
Yeah, that's going to be a good show on our next show for the discussion, which is also on Spreaker.com, by the way.
As Christopher Anderson is loose across the 40, and he's tripped up with a 41-yard line.
Hey, Nick, is it safe to say Fullerton has no answer for the run game tonight?
Fullerton has no answer for anything that the Tigers are dishing up here because the lone passing touchdown by Nicholas King was the longest play of the night, a 52-yard completion to Denzel Foster as Christopher Anderson's run ends up losing 2. And, I mean, Dan, I'm not one to bring up controversy, but currently the Tigers have a more they are leading by as much as Mount Sac is leading over Grossmont College.
You are correct.
Which, based off a strength of schedule,
38-7 in their game.
36-6 in ours. 12 minutes to go, and we'll get you constant updates from a man that we know and love, Chris Sylvester. 11:58 to go, and a 30-point lead for the Tigers, who face a 2nd and 12 from their own 40-yard line. King off an empty set. Back to throw, looking left, fires over the middle, high, but he ends up completing it anyway. Michael Stallone, they needed 12, and they pick up 13. It's been that kind of night here for the Tigers.
Fullerton right there, lining up in a zone. Nicholas King being able to find a hole there.
And he picks up a big first down here for the Tigers. And it's just been that kind of night here for a Fullerton defense that was looking to pull up the big upset of the weekend as Mount Sac was able to win. Long Beach was able to pull ahead and win over Allen Hancock, but it was Fullerton College, the number 3 team in Southern California, that faced their toughest competition, maybe of the season, in a 36-6 score. And what is really your takeaway here from this football game? I know offensively, 36 is far from what you would like when we start getting into the Mount Sacs and the Long Beach City Colleges of the South.
Well, it might sound a little overly opinionated, but we finally have a quarterback that we could rely on. A guy who has legs, a guy who's obviously he's able to find the spots in the zone that Fullerton sets up, and, hey, it's been a successful night so far, so I expect them to now be a top contender for state, for sure.
Well, the story behind Nick King was a transfer from El Camino. It's ironic that his very first start is against those Warriors. But now that we're underway about 5 quarters of football, what impresses you the most about a man who's now over 70% completions and now 3 touchdowns through the air?
He doesn't get flustered. I saw a lot of emotion from Helinski when he's creating mistakes. King, he's monotone. He just goes straight to the sideline, comes back on the field. Not a lot of emotion unless he's scoring touchdowns.
That was the knock on Kelly Helinski. When things are going great, Helinski is about as good as it gets. But as soon as the ship begins to sail and as soon as things turn from good to bad, Helinski, as good of a leader as I think he is, I think he's got to be able to have more of an even tone as King fires to Whitney. He's got it inside the 30-25, and that's another monster 26-yard pickup by Isaac Whitney, now over 100 yards tonight.
Yeah, Isaac Whitney being able to find a hole in the zone again. King able to recognize the hole in the zone again. So I feel like Fullerton needs to go to a man-man coverage here.
On a drive that started from their own 10, King hands off to Foster to the 15, and he's able to fight his way to the 10. 5 first downs for the Tigers on a march that's chewed up over 2 minutes of clock, and it's looking for another touchdown.
Wow, I'll tell you, JuCo football is a seesaw type of game. I mean, Fullerton losing the Mount Sac was... I'll let you take this play, Nick.
King... lose off of one man, still looking, and that'll end up gaining about 2. Wow, making something out of nothing. I mean, Houdini is alive, Dan, and he's wearing number 17 for the Tigers.
Yeah, going back to my point, the seesaw effect of JuCo football. An impressive win supposedly by Mount Sac over Fullerton. Fullerton was supposed to be this dominant force, and it looks like Riverside is the powerhouse tonight.
Only for 2 weeks, though. It's still a very young season, Dan. But, I mean, Riverside looks exactly as advertised. They were ranked number 1 in the state coming in.
We forgot about that, Nick.
So they were expected to win like this, 36-6. King, play action, he'll take it himself, and, man, typical Nick King. I mean, he wasn't going to score a touchdown, but still reaching the ball out to gain that extra half yard. Now 3rd and 4 from the 5.
It's small things like that. He's getting tackled, but he still wants an extra inch, reaching over for that extra push. And, hey, that shows a lot of just heart and determination by King. He really wants to be the guy. He wants to be this guy that is known as a leader, as a guy who's going to lead this team to the state championship.
Anderson dots the I on a 3rd and 4. Play action, King looking, ends up taking it himself, able to zigzag to the 5, trying to reach to the end zone. Is he fine there? No, he'll be about a half yard short. King, boy, what an amazing quarterback, dual threat, and is this a Division I quarterback? I mean, I understand this is junior college, but...
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're trying to go with this. I would say not yet.
Wait a minute, whoa. King is now a wide receiver. Anderson on a 4th and goal. Wildcat, he dropped the ball, and it's recovered by the Hornets. So that'll be an empty trip by the offense. Wow. They were able to drive 89 yards down the field to the opponent's 1. And Christopher Anderson coughed the football up. That's the first turnover today. But listen, Dan, this game is sealed, stamped, secured. I mean, this is about ready. The fat lady's warming up, and she's about ready for a full encore down there on the sideline.
In about 9 minutes and 3 seconds, she will be singing.
But it would have been nice to have them go in for a touchdown.
True that. But going back to your point, is Nicholas King that Division I player? I would say not yet, and that's because I've seen a couple of things in his fundamentals, in his technique that show me not yet. Let's pump the brakes on that. He still has a whole season to develop. We'll see if he becomes that type of a player, a D1 player, that is.
Khalil Wilson for Fullerton runs for 2 yards. And I understand not enough game tape per se for Nicholas King, but from the limited snaps that we have seen, King, unlike Helinski, who is getting offers from the Division I level, he's able to fit it in down the field. Those deep throws do not faze the Westchester product.
That's right.
8:31 to go, 36-6. And Dan, I think if there's one thing that Tom Kraft prides himself on, winning nearly every football game over his first 5 years, it's that quarterback situation. It's the 3rd straight year in the offseason that the Tigers had a quarterback controversy. Last year, they pulled out a Division I stud in West Virginia quarterback Skylar Howard. And listen, I mean, maybe this is, I know it's early, but yet again, Tom Kraft is able to make the most out of his quarterback. And early on in the year, we questioned him for his inability to mature quarterbacks. We've seen King for about all of 6 quarters, and we have a far different script on him tonight. As for Nate, play action, he's going way too far, intended for Moss, out of the grasp of his freshman wideout, and now they'll have
safety blitz there.
Now 4th down and 9.
Yeah, safety blitz coming in, getting hit as he throws, obviously causing that overthrown pass. Great defense continues for RCC tonight, even with the big lead.
Nearly every defensive player for the Tigers, and we'll keep track of it, is on their way to a Division I university. Defensive lineman Jeremiah Mitchell and Devontae Wilson each got offers from the East Coast, Marshall and University of Alabama Birmingham, respectively. The University of Hawaii is in store for linebacker Jonah Moy. At cornerback, Treshawn Broughton leads the pack. He's going to Oregon State. Another 5-yard penalty by the Fullerton Hornets. But as we continue to the list, I mean, this is a ball club led by studs all over the place. Also add A.J. Hodgkins, who's looking at, as a freshman, looking at Wisconsin University.
We're talking about a team with so much depth. We got up to 9 linebackers that get to see play during the span of just one game.
And all of them produce, as Tremel Davis is able to return from his own 45. 40, sideline to the 35, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 34. That'll be a return of 18 yards. And Dan, how about a little resurrection time for Columbia University transfer Kelly Helinski? He's now into the game.
Wow. It's about time. I mean, with this type of a game and a blowout game, it's good to see another guy getting some time and helping himself develop because, hey, he's a guy that's got to fix his craft. And Coach Kraft notices that.
Kraft has a thing for crafting young quarterbacks, does he not?
He absolutely does.
Helinski, during his 3.5 games as a starter, passed for over 800 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4 picks, but has accounted for 7 turnovers in the last 2.5 games. Helinski, an interesting story, given that he wasn't even supposed to be a member of the Tigers. He signed his intent. He had 5 scholarship offers coming out of Notre Dame High School in Northern California, but he was able to sign with Columbia University because he expected the academic and athletic standards to help him become the best person and athlete of any university. But that obviously did not work out. And I'll go ahead and get to your point after this play. Helinski will hand off to Anderson, who has his feet tripped up under him. And now he's getting a resurrection time in Riverside and has a second chance here now coming into the game.
Right, and you talk about his development. I mean, the guy shows class. He doesn't distance himself from Nicholas King because
even though he's the backup.
Right, and so that's why he gets playing time in this situation. It's because he deserves it. He's not this grumpy guy who's going to, distance himself from the team. Instead, he is part of this team. He understands his role now. He's the backup, and I feel like he's embraced it.
He embraces being team first, player second. I mean, this is a man who has developed a very strong relationship with head coach Tom Kraft. He's known him and his head coach from Notre Dame High School ever since a senior in high school.
Wow.
And I mean, Helinski, to be quite frank with you, this has been a man who expected to be productive at the Division I level, but his career went downhill. He had a touchdown and 4 interceptions before being benched at Columbia University, right. And he's, unfortunately, this is not the first time he has seen a sideline.
I could totally see this guy being liked by everybody. I mean, in the times that I spent on the sidelines before games, he's a guy who's smiling, who's cracking jokes with his teammates, so he's a good guy. I mean, just let him fix his play, and that's why he's in this type of a situation, a blowout game, and we'll see what he does here. Hopefully he gets a touchdown.
If there's one man who's exactly as advertised, it's returning halfback Denzel Foster. Helinski will take it himself, but to no avail. Wow. That'll be another false start. But, Dan, one man who has been absolutely no disappointment, Denzel Foster, 3 combined touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground, and in a 36-6 score. He has been the lone difference maker here. And I am flat out shocked that this guy has 0 D1 offers.
Well, that'll probably change after this game. Let's see if he gets something
Hopefully.
During the week.
I really hope so. Isaac Whitney had 4 offers during the week and another penalty. This will be against Riverside again. No, timeout by Fullerton. That'll be their second. Now down to 1 for each team. This has been a slow-moving fourth quarter, but Denzel Foster, a man that I think because the fact that he